Let's start. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeroen van der Wal. I'm a full-stack software engineer at the Rabobank. And I'm really happy and excited that I'm here to share some of my passion with you. If you have any questions, we will have time for that at the end. I will tell this morning a little bit about personal automation or macros, the use of macros. And I really hope that you will be inspired by this. The main thing that I'm going to show you is based on a MacBook, but the same tools work on Windows or have alternatives on Windows. So please have an open mind and see how this works for you. First of all, let's start with some numbers. 170, 1880, 88,000. Whoa, we're going too quick. 88,360. Does this ring a bell with anyone? Anyone who knows what these numbers are?
Seconds in a working year?
Almost. Seconds in a working year. No, 170 hours a month we work. So it's almost the same, but it's hours. 1,880 hours we work in a year and 88,360 hours we work in a lifetime. Approximately, of course, because we all work different hours, but in the basis, this is how many hours we work in our lifetime, and that's a huge number. If you want to compare it, let's say you start walking 5 kilometers an hour, you walk for 88,360 hours, you will go around the Earth for 11 times. So it's huge. That are the amount of hours that we are working. Although, if you compare it with a giant tortoise, it's only 5% of its lifespan. So, of course, it depends on where you compare it with, right? But we're working a lot of hours. And in these hours, I'm not sure if you recognize this, but we're working more and more on more and more applications. Single-purpose applications. We have an application for everything. And that's different than years ago. Let's say one example, Outlook. We use for Outlook for our email. We used Outlook for our calendar, for our tasks, for our notes. Outlook to the rescue. But now we have a separate email client. We have a separate calendar app. We have a separate note-taking app. We have a separate task app. An app for everything. And it doesn't really matter, or it's not the point now what you think of that. It's basically a fact. We are using more and more applications. Let's do a quick poll. Let's do a quick audience participation, because we all love that, right? Hands up if you use IntelliJ as your IDE. All right, that's most of us. Who of you, raise your hand, who of you uses shortcuts in IntelliJ? All right, also most of you. Raise your hand if you know what this does, Option or Command Enter. All right, that's a bit less, but there's still some shortcut warriors there. This is if you are in your text editor, it will open up the action menu for that current context that you are. So it will import things that you didn't import, or these kind of actions. And it's really important that we know in our IntelliJ how it works, how we can do it better, quicker, use shortcuts, etc., etc. And that's what we all talk about in these kind of conferences, in the work floor. On YouTube, there are hours of movies on how to work with IntelliJ. And that's great. I really think we should do that. But IntelliJ is not the only application that we're using. What I already said, we are using more and more applications, and most of the time we neglect the automation of the other applications that we're using. That's a bit of a shame, because we use them, and we use them a lot. So I'm going to give you an example of these kind of automations. And I think you all recognize the feeling. You get an application, you're really fond of it. You really like it, you start using it, and after a few weeks of using it, you think, okay, I'm doing this and this thing every time again. And then you think, okay, how can I do this smarter? How can I do this better? And you search for shortcuts, and they're not there. I had this with Miro. I'm not sure if you know Miro, but I love Miro. It's a great way of visualizing your work, and you can do a lot of things with it. I love it. Started using it, worked on it, and then I found out I do a particular thing every time again. And if I say every time again, 10 times a day, maybe even more. I'm going to show you a quick image. It's just exporting a frame to an image. I use this to create some icons. I'm going to show you later on what it does or why I do that. But it's just clicking 3 or 4 times. You click on the frame, you click on the options, you say export as image, and then export. So that's what I do. And I started searching for shortcuts or way to do this easier, because I don't want to click 3 times every time. And they weren't there. I searched Google, I searched Fora, I even contacted Miro, and there was no easier way to do this. And the problem with that is that I really like this tool, but every time I had to visit this action again, it really annoyed me, it irritated me, it frustrated me, because I had to do that same thing over and over again, and I couldn't do it better. I couldn't do it quicker, and I thought it should be able to. Or I should be able to. It really dimmed the spark that I had for Miro. I think we all know these kind of tasks, right? The tasks that are monotonous, tiring, mundane, and we do them over and over again. Think about the administration that you have to do every time again. It's part of our job, but that's not why we become developers, right? You have to do them over and over again. Or these kind of great applications, single purpose, but they lack the shortcuts. Or replying every time again the same message. Doing these kind of monotonous, tiring, dull things over and over again isn't really the things that we want to do. We want to focus on developing things, and we want to focus on coding and programming, but most of the time, or a lot of our time, we're spending on these kind of dull tasks. And the question is why? And why do we accept that these kind of tasks are such a big part of our work, that we have to do this over and over again? Is it because we have the feeling we can't do it better, can't do it quicker? We don't know where to start? And because at the end of the day, I am sure you all had that feeling. You look back and then think, all right, but what did I do today? So why? Why do we accept the mediocre, the mundane, the monotonous work that we have to do so often? Because we don't have to. IntelliJ IDE is not the only place where we can use shortcuts or where we can work on a smarter way. We can do that on multiple places. And if you think, okay, but if I have to start automating these things, create macros for it, etc., it just takes a lot of time. Can I get return on investment? Well, there is a nice chart for that. Let's say you do a task daily. Let's see if I can point to it. Let's say you do a task daily and you shave up only 1 second. It's already worth spending 30 minutes on it for a task across 5 years, of course. But still, if you do a task 5 times a day or 50 times a day, the return on investment is very quick. It's really easy to return on investment. But return on investment is not the only reason why you should automate the personal stuff that you're doing. It's way more fun. I think we all recognize the feeling that you have when you solve a puzzle. And when you really started on it and it didn't work, and then suddenly it strikes you and think, oh, this is how I do it. And it works, and you get a great feeling because you achieved what you wanted. But also, it made things possible that aren't possible otherwise, or at least not practical. And also, it's a kind of gamification. Because you're not learning JavaScript because you have to, but you're learning JavaScript because you want to. You want to automate that website that you have to go visit every time again. And you're learning your shell script not because you have to, but because you want to. And the same goes for your operating system. So let's have a quick look at what do I mean. First, we're going to do something very simple. This is just the easiest example that I can give you. Let's say we want to send an email and we're going to say kind regards. And I'm using here Keyboard Maestro. Keyboard Maestro is a great tool on the Mac that I can really encourage you to have a look at. But the examples that I give you, you can do them in a lot of different applications also on Windows, also on Linux. The key is that you think about automation. Well, all right, so let's say kind regards. I'm going to do a typed key string, and this means basically text expansion. So if you type in JF kind regards, so KR, then I want you to paste a, let's say, a styled message, kind regards, Jeroen van der Wal. So let's make this a bit so, and then now if I do this in a text editor, you see kind regards, Jeroen van der Wal. Let's see if I can, there you go. All right, very simple example, and I will promise you there will become more sophisticated things, but just to give you a basic understanding of what you can do here. Next thing, let's say we want a commit message. I think we all commit things to our Git repository, and it should be the same git commit message every time again. And let's do that. Git commit message. All right, so I want type string, jvol git commit message. And then again, I want a, it doesn't have to be styled, I just want to insert this. Let's see if I have something here. Yeah, so this is basically how we use it, feature, and then your task ID, story ID, and the message. And this goes, everyone does this a bit different, but I think you get the picture. So now if I do it here, let's make sure italic is off, yeah. jvol git commit message, there you have it. But now, you don't want to redo these things, right? So let's make this a user input. So we're going to ask the user for input for these variables. So let's say this is a git commit message. And then I want some variables, local. In Keyboard Maestro, if you use local, it makes sure that the variables that you set are only within this macro. So that's comes in handy sometimes. So let's say I need a task ID, local story ID, and a local message. All right, now I can use this in this insert text by pasting. So we're gonna say variable local task ID. All right, so this already is a bit annoying that I have to type in that whole variable inclusion. So I'm going to make a quick macro for that also. Variable insert, yeah. Once you start, you never get finished. Let's see, jvol insert variable. And let's say this is also, I need a user input because I need to know the variable name. Variable. And I'm going to say here local var name, that's fine. And I'm gonna pasting also insert text by pasting. So now we say the proper way of doing this, variable local var name. But now we want to, oh, well done. I'm happy that you are all very awake already. We need to escape some things because we want this also as a text. So let's do it this way, and I think I did this correct. Let's see, let's do the local task ID. So jvol insert variable, and this was a local story ID. I'm not sure, which one were we? Oh, sorry, I did the wrong one. Here, so story ID. Local story ID. So there you have it, and then here, so now we automated also the automation, which I think is always a good thing. jvol insert variable local message. There you go. Okay, so now we have a prompt that says, okay, give me the task ID, story ID, message, and I'm going to create a commit message for you. So let's see if that works. jvol git commit message. All right, so what's the task ID? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't matter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the message is, this is great automation. All right, so this way, you can start automating these things. And for example, you might have the rules. You can set up Git rules, of course, that you want to have that always lowercase. Well, then let's do this one. I can give you way more examples, but let me quickly do this one. Let's say the local message should be lowercase and save it back to local message. All right, so let's see if that works. If it now is only git commit message only in lowercase. Hi there, let's see. And there you go. So also, if you have a lot of rules, and I'm not sure how you do this, but I tend to go back to the rules every time again. Oh yeah, what was it and what do I have to do? This way you just automate it, do it once, and then make sure that you never have to think about it again, which you want, right? So this is basically a git commit message. Another thing that I like to use this is sending some, well, standard or automatic replies. I think you might get a message from a recruiter once in a while, right? I do. Reply recruiter. So let's say type string jfol reply recruiter, and we're again gonna say pasting, insert text by pasting, and then say hi, thanks for your message, great opportunity. I am having the best time at the Rabo, but perhaps in the future. The future. All right, so kind regards. There you go. And now, of course, we want to be able to use this as a variable also. So let's do that input because we want to know the name. Well, I do think you get the picture, right? Recruiter name. So let's say local name, and we're gonna insert. And now you see already how handy it is that I made a automation for that. Local name. There you go. All right, so let's try that. jfol reply recruiter. Hi, Eric. Thanks for your message. Great opportunity. Blah blah blah. All right, nice. You can send this back to via LinkedIn, and you just do blub, and you send something back because it's nice to reply, right? That's the nice thing to do. But now I'm not only getting messages from English-speaking recruiters, but also from Dutch-speaking recruiters. So local English. Let's make a Boolean where we say 0 or 1. So is it an English message? Then we're going to say if this is a English message. So let's say the variable condition local English contains, you could also say is, but basically the same. Is this, then let's say it's English, then send this. Otherwise, let's do this and say, let's have a look. Hi, bedankt voor je bericht, klinkt goed, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's see how that looks like. Reply recruiter, so this is Erik again. Now I can check or uncheck English. So now it should get, there you go. It should get the Dutch version of it. So this way you can really reply very quickly to your recruiters, being polite but not spending too much time on it. Of course, this is just an example, and think about all the things that you could do with this besides these kind of examples, right? Another one that I really like to use a lot, I'm just going to show you, I'm not going to do it all, but hide all windows, minimize all windows. In a Windows computer, this might be out of the box, but at least at Mac, sometimes it's a bit harder. So I really like to be able to hide all windows. In this case, I can also say except for, so exclude some applications, but I can minimize them all. I think you believe me if I say that this works, but let's do it. It minimized. All right, this is the wrong one. Keyboard Maestro, let's go back. Same thing goes for opening applications. If you start working and let's say you want iTerm and text edit open, well, it's really nice if you have that in a shortcut or able to do this really quickly. So now I'm opening the work applications that I use, for example. You can think of all kind of other things, but opening certain applications or certain websites when you are in a specific task can be really helpful. There are other applications that do this, but I think it's good to have this in your bag. Snap to the left and snap to the right. Also a window manipulation. I really like to have my time box, my calendar app next to my work. So I created a snap to the left and snap to the right macro, and this just basically says, all right, so if I say snap to the left with a local width, so make it the width of 15% or 30%, 15 or 30 based on if I'm on a wide screen, basically. Snap to the right says, okay, snap to the right and start at 15 or 30% and make it then 70 or 85%. So I'll quickly show you how this looked like. Where does it look like? No, you understand it. There you go, and this one. And now I have it next to each other, and I really like to have these kind of view when I am programming, for example. So I know where I am. I really like to use some kind of a time box. All right, so we know it's 11 o'clock. We know we still have half time. All right, so these are all kind of things. Oh, sorry. Minimized it. All kind of things that you can do. Another thing is full screen, especially in your if you're on a Mac, then full screen and these kind of things might be a bit problematic. For example, all kinds of applications have different ways to do that, and there you get also the fact that you have so many different applications. So I just created if Todoist, then toggle this menu item. So this way I can toggle menu items based on where they are. I do the same thing with minimizing, but I do that in 2 steps. So I say if it's already in full screen, first undo full screen, and then if I hit it again, then please minimize it. So now, first time I hit the key, it will just go back to the screen it was, and now if I do it again, it will minimize it. Just some examples of the way that I am using this. All right. Todoist, I already talked a little bit about it. Todoist is a task application, and as I said, a single purpose application, does task things very good, in my opinion, but it does lack some kind of shortcuts that you might want to use. If it opens up, of course. Let me see. I'll just try it one more time. If it doesn't open up, then I'm going to perhaps we need this later on. Perhaps the Wi-Fi is not working or the connection is not working as expected. All right, I will quickly go to the next one. At least I think, but for the next one I also need my internet. It's let's see if this does something. No, I'm not connected. I'm not sure if there's let's see. All right, so this is a bit of an issue because there are parts now that I want to show via the internet. So let's see if we can get it working. Yeah. If there is a hotspot, I will use it. I see that my iPhone does have a hotspot, but doesn't really have that much power. Yeah, there you go.
I'll put it here on the desk.
Yeah,
Should be
let's
close enough.
let's see if it works. Otherwise, I just go to the last part of it. That's not online. I think I can't.
Other networks, die hotspot.
Yeah, let's see. Other networks. Large spot. Pate doesn't work. I already found it. Okay, so let's see if now. Thanks, Lars. Yeah, all right. So, sorry for the delay. Thanks, Lars, for the rescue. Let's open up Todoist. There are still some great things to come. There we go. It opened up Todoist, and Todoist is such a single-purpose application. There are no shortcuts, or not really shortcuts. So I created some shortcuts for it myself, and I said execute a component. And I created the component as basically a shared component, because most of the time we're doing certain things for multiple macros. So I created the shared component, and I just passing the parameter werk in this case. And let's see, here it is. So this is the local project. Let me go to the toggle editing mode. There you go, this is better to see, I think. So it opens up the Todoist applications, it waits for a while, and then it hits G and P, so it hits keystrokes. And once that's done, after a quick wait, it will insert that variable that you passed as a parameter. So let's see if that works. I'll quickly see. All right, so we are in JFol. There you go, you switch to work. And this is a very simple thing, but this shows that you can really automate everything that you want. Instead of having to do these kind of things all the time yourself. And if you do that a lot, it's really nice to have it this way. Single purpose application, so this is how you can do that. I have showed you the issue that I had with Miro. And let's go to Miro and see how I solved that. All right, so we have a frame here. I created some icons. I'll show you later on. I created some icons, and now I want to export this as an image. Export as image, and then export. So how would you automate a website like this? Well, first of all, let's get the inspector there, and let's search for the element that we have here. And that's basically, it's this one. It has a nice ID. ID is additional, so great. So now if I would try this on a console, document.query selector. Oh, there you go. And then we want this one. All right, so now I can select it, right? You see here down, you see that it's selected. All right, can I click it then? Yes, I can. And it does something. All right, so this means I can use JavaScript to click this button. So now, if I go to my keyboard maestro again, I'm going to create a new one. Miro export frame. So let me give it a new trigger. I'm not sure which one I used and which one I didn't. And now I'm just going to use the JavaScript action. I'm going to execute a JavaScript in the front browser. So now if I hit this Control-Option-Command 7, then it will try to do this JavaScript. All right, so let's see if that works. It should be open. There it is. All right, so next step, export as an image. Goes same thing. Let's go to the top one. That's this one. It has an ID export as image, so we do exactly the same thing. We could already here, of course, automate this also, make a component out of it. I didn't have it there. So let's see if this works. I'm not going to bore you because I think you already understand how that works. All right, so now we export it as an image. Now let's go to the export button. The export button doesn't have an ID. It has a class, ng class, amtab, that's it. So now we should search for example, the class. There's a button primary. This is the only primary button, so for me it's safe enough. All right, so let's do that. Basically, it works the same thing. Instead of ID, we need to do it this way. Same one. All right. Let's see if it works now. Cancel this one. And there we go. Export as image. And there we go. It just export the image as I wanted. So instead of doing the 3 clicks, it's now only a shortcut. And if you do that 10, 15, 20 times a day, that's nice. That's just nice. Then the next thing, what I already said, it's also possible to do things that otherwise are impossible or at least impractical. And one of the things that I tend to do, that I really like to do, is read. And a lot of the things that we read are from websites or, well, these kind of things. But the problem is, if you read on a website, for me at least, that's not an easy way to read. I don't like to read from a website. So there is an application or a web application that's Focus Reader. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Let me quickly go there. Focus Reader lets you read way more focused. As you can see here, if it works, yeah, there you go. You can hover your mouse under what you're reading. I like it. You may like it, you may not like it. I do like it. But we're working on text, we're working on Word documents, we're working on all these kind of things where text is, but this application only accepts PDFs. So now, either I'm going to use this application, I have to create PDFs every time again, or I'm not going to use this application. But creating PDFs every time again is a lot of work if you don't automate it. Luckily, on Mac and Linux you can use PanDoc, and you just say, okay, I have a file, and output it to a PDF. So, of course, I created a macro for that. Let me see if I can show you that PDF. Open a file in Focus Reader. So here it basically says open Focus Reader, open a PDF file, and go there. But before we do that, of course, we need to create that PDF file. Well, we do that with that script that I just showed you. Let me quickly see if I can show you in IntelliJ. I thought it was open. Oh, there it is. Let's go to presentation mode, and this is the PDF file from a variable. Basically what it says, create a PDF file. I'm not going to show you all of it, but I have a script file that creates a PDF file from my text, the text that I copied. So here it is, text, and it's from a variable that Keyboard Maestro said. It just sets the, it's just set it in text. All right, so let's see if that works. Let's go to the tech blog from Rabobank. And let's say a real machine learning journey. Well, great. But I want to read it, of course, in my Focus Reader. Let's go there. I want to read this. Now, you can also export this as a PDF, and that works, and you can load it into your Focus Reader. That's fine, but sometimes you have it from your Word document or other places, so it's not always practicable, but that works perfectly fine. All right, so I just hit the shortcut. It will start its magic. Open up the Focus Reader, open up the file. There it is. It will also hit the sensitivity because I like certain sensitivity, hit the enlargement, and now I can read this in my Focus Reader. This was impossible if I would do this every time again by clicking it, dragging it, etc., etc. But since I'm using macros, this is perfectly possible. The other thing that I really like, I'm not sure if I'm the only one here, but I like to read the Volkskrant. And I have the online version, the online subscription, but I do like to read it in my e-reader, because again, I don't like to read from a web page. Let me see. I think, oh, there you go. All right. So now I want to do the same thing, only now I want to create an EPUB, and luckily that's also possible, because on a Mac and Linux we can use eBook Convert. It's from Calibre, and we can just say, okay, I have this text file, and create an EPUB with a title and with the author. So again, I created a script. I'm not going to explain it completely, but I think you get the ID out of it. It gets the website, it gets the title, and the funny thing is, if you're using, for example, Volkskrant, I'm reading this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 articles a day. I can really make a specific script for the Volkskrant, so it gets the article, it's making plain text, and then convert it to EPUB. Well, let's see how that works in practice. It copied the link address, and now there you see it, it's done. So it created an EPUB. Let's quickly find it. Bestuursrechter blokkeert alweer een. Well, there you go. Today at 11:12, I think it's 11:12, it is 11:12. Yeah, just so you know I'm not joking. And there you have it, a really nice EPUB that's loaded to my e-reader straight away. Also this one, probably you're not going to use it, and I understand it, but also this, it helps me to do the impossible, to make that possible. And these kind of things really, really help. But since you're perhaps not reading the Volkskrant, or perhaps any newspaper, what can you do other than this? Well, one of the things that I really like is automate the work that I do on a daily basis. And since I'm working on an online environment, I have to go through the flow every time again. So let's say I just saw the Rijksoverheid is next to this room. So let's open up a website from the Rijksoverheid. Let's see, there we go. And all right, I want to buy a house. Let's say I'm working on this application. I have to do this over and over and over and over and over again. And I want to be able to do this quicker because I don't want to click, 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 click every time. Now, this is another way to do it. We can, of course, use JavaScript again, but we can also do this on a different way. I would say easier, perhaps, but I'm just going to copy a screenshot of the part that I want. And then I'm going to, let me quickly open a macro. I'm going to say flow belastingdienst. And then I'm going to give it a hotkey trigger, let's say 8. Now I want to pause until the image is found. Because now we are on the website and it's fine, but if we go to the next one, it's sequential, so it will just hit it right off. So you don't want that, so wait until you see this image. I'm going to make it a bit furry, I'm fine with that. Just wait until the screen shows this image, so it's not the website, it's just the screen. And if that's there, let's click at found image. So I'm going to click on this image, and I'm going to do that on the best one. So sometimes it's you use the one, it's used the one that, well, sorry, no. I'm just going to show you. Oh, there are already 2 of them. So I'm going to do it a bit different. So there you go. It hit the ik ben nog op zoek naar een koopwoning. All right, so that's nice. Let me quickly, because it also moved the mouse there. I want to restore the mouse location because I don't want it to be at that particular place. And let's easily go to the next question. Oh, sorry, now I'm doing it myself. That was not the point, that's not why we're here. All right, wait for this to be there, and let's just do the same thing again. All right, so now I want to say no, of course. So let's say no and click that one. Let's go back to the last one and run it again. All right, so no. Show results. All right, let's do it this way because now it's already finished, and that's not what I want to show. So we're going to do this, and let's say run it. Okay, we say no. We want to go to the next question. So, and this way, you can really easily automate the whole online part that you are doing. I can go on, and I think you get the picture, right? This way, instead of having to do this all the time again, you can just automate it, run it, and that's it. So let's see that in practice. I can close this one. Let's see that in practice. This is a flow that I actually work on, and instead of having to go through all these steps, I've just automated it, and once it's running, I can get something to drink, because I don't have to do anything for it. There you go. It just went through it, and instead of doing this over and over again, every time again, you can really easily automate it. And as you just saw, I went through a few screens in like 1 or 2 minutes, and it's already automated, and you can use that for a while. Of course, buttons are changing, colors are changing, all that is true, but at least it will stay there for a month. So I think you already get your payback within a month. I do think. So one other thing, because now we've created a lot. I need to keep a focus on time. Yeah, now we've created a lot of macros, a lot of shortcuts, and as you already saw, I'm already getting they're getting intertwined. How to remember them all? Because the things that you do over and over again, for example, in your IntelliJ, you will remember them. That's fine. But as soon as you have to do things once every 2 days, once every week, it doesn't matter, you will not make the brain connection. So I use therefore the Stream Deck. I'm going to show you. Let me see if I can. Sorry, I have to have it here. Let's open up a new, oh, there you go. Yeah, whoa. There you go. My Stream Deck. And my Stream Deck is basically a functionality, buttons, that I can set up completely by myself as I want to. As you can see, there's a timer running. Oh, it's not really good visible, but as you also can see, this is why I use all those icons. And now it's just on the basic screen, and you can't really see it, but I can open up some stuff. Here are all kind of things. Oh, yeah, so this also happens. Now it's blocked. Basically what I can do, and I think that's a great thing about the Stream Deck, once I switch from applications, it's going to show me the icons that I've created for that application. I'm going to see if I can close off this. No, it doesn't. I can switch from applications, and it will show me all the icons that I've created, for example, for IntelliJ. And the things that I do in IntelliJ over and over again, I know them. I don't need them there. But the things that I don't do over and over again, they are very helpful to have there. So excluding some paths and these kind of things that you do once every while, well, that's really helpful. It's really not going to work anymore. I'm fine. That's fine. Let's see if I can go back here. Yeah, because this is also basically we're going to an end. I really do think that there are a lot of things that are tiring, mundane, and monotonous that we do, and I really feel strongly about not doing them if I can do it differently. And I would really urge you to search for opportunities, either these kind of applications, but also in different ways, to see if you can improve the work that you do and make it fun and make it inspiring and make it some learning experience. I can imagine that I talked about a lot of things and that you might have questions, etc., etc. I've created a QR code. There's a Notion site, so you can find some more information on what I just did, and also my contact information is there. If you have any questions about it later on, please feel free to contact me. I really am passionate about this, and I'm really happy to think along. So feel free to contact me and find some more information there. And then last thing, I think, are there questions for now? I have a great microphone here. which you could use if you have any questions. So you can raise your hand. Can you catch?
Can you also share your workflows with your teammates? So, for example, if you you have a microphone. Oh wow! It's an actual microphone.
It's a microphone. Yeah.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
can you share your workflows with your colleagues that you created so that they can also use it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can just export them, and you could even set up a synced environment where you use these. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a workflow for sharing them? Where do you have a work?
Yeah, you did it good.
Okay.
You did it good.
Do you have a workflow for sharing them with your colleagues?
Well, I don't, but I know there's a big community that does this on this way, but yeah, I don't. No, my colleagues aren't using this. I'm not inspiring enough, I think. Anyone else? Any questions?
Are you also planning to share this maybe on GitHub? I think many code is shared, and I think this is also useful. And if I do everything from scratch.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. Instead of doing everything from scratch, what are you using, etc., etc. I'll have a look at that. On the Notion page, there's already a lot of information. I'll have a look at it. I think it's an interesting suggestion. Yeah. Yeah? It's soft, it's soft.
When you want to automate, do you run into some problems? For example, I could imagine when you have a Rabobank CSV tool, but when you want to get that CSV, you might run into a multi-factor authentication problem that you can't automate. Are there any problems when you want to automate that you failed to automate them?
Yeah, I think there are barriers. I think you are right about that. There are just things that should not be able to automate, right? Like multi-factor authentication. Although you could say, let's check if I can find my iMessage and then get the code from it. Because in Keyboard Maestro, for example, you can do some OCR reading, so you can find out, okay, so what code did come from it. I think you can get a long way. But there is some point that you say, okay, this is too much of a burden for the thing that I'm trying to do now, especially with these kind of things that you don't have to do 10 times a day. I haven't yet met these kind of issues, but I can imagine that they are. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And for example, if you are behind a password protection in a website, you can of course send out headers with your curl command, etc. Those kind of things are perfectly possible, but there will be limitations. Yeah.
When it asks for the Rabobank reader, then you're screwed.
Yeah. I think. Oh. All right. We need this at the office. Anyone else? Any questions? Well, if there are no more questions, if you forget this or lost it, at the Rabobank stand there are business cards with this QR code, so you can get one there. I'm here the whole day, so if you have any questions, just search for me, find me. And I want to thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you learned something.